Hi there and welcome to Real Talk Fitness with ANPT. I'm your host, Ashley Cummins. For those of you who don't know, I'm the owner of ANPT, a place that I've created to better yourself physically, but also create a community behind you because I feel that is important for your mental health. Everybody needs their tribe. I'm a busy mum of two energetic boys. I'm a wife and I'm also me. So I've created Real Talk Fitness to cut through the noise and give you real backed science information about mindset and about everything in between to help you better yourself mentally and physically. So today's episode, I want to talk about the truth about energy systems and why your training should match your goal. So do you ever feel or need or read that you need to run more to get fitter, or you should do more HIIT to lose fat, and why powerlifters rest for 3 to 5 minutes between sets, while Hyrox athletes are barely stopping? Today, I'm breaking down the 3 energy systems your body uses and why every workout isn't created equally, and how to train smarter depending on whether your goal is strength, Hyrox, running, or general fitness. Understanding this could completely change how you program your training. Let's dive in. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is people copying someone else's training, right? They see runners doing intervals, Hyrox athletes doing lots of sleds and stimulations, CrossFit athletes doing lots of short AMRAPs, powerlifters lifting heavy and resting, and then they wonder why they're not improving. But the reality is your body has 3 different energy systems. Each produce energy differently, and each has different strengths. So depending on your goal, one system should become your priority, but that doesn't mean you ignore the others. So each one of those sports that I listed above work on all different energy systems, which something that even I'm learning 15 years into my journey is each session should have a purpose. You don't need to do more, you just need to have more purposeful sessions. So that means that you need to understand where your focus should be. Now, first of all, what is an energy system? Every moment or movement you require energy, right? Your muscles don't actually use food directly. That food gets broken down. They use something called ATP. ATP is our body's energy currency. The problem is you store enough ATP for around 2 to 3 seconds. So your body is constantly has to make more. And it does this by using 3 different energy systems. Think of them like 3 backup generators. One comes on immediately, one kicks in harder efforts, and one keeps you going for longer. So let's break them down. Our first energy system. Now, to keep this really simple for you is when we talk about energy and we talk about our body and how we utilize this is, I like to explain it to people is the unit of food is measured in energy, which is tracked by calories or kilojoules. It's the same as when we say how tall something is, it can be calculated in meters or centimeters or millimeters. It's all going to be the same height at the end of the day, right? So our energy is calculated in either calories or kilojoules. And within them, there's different, so like example, if it's 3 meters tall, it's so many millimeters and it's so many centimeters. It's the same as if we require this many calories or kilojoules, it's broken up into so many carbs and so many proteins and so many fats. So when we talk about energy systems in what our body is utilizing during workouts, is our body has 3 different systems, so 3 different generators to give our body energy to do the tasks that we're asking in exercise. So the first one is called the ATP system. And this is our explosive system. So it feels like the 1 rep max, the heavy squats, the sprints, the broad jumps, the vertical jumps, anything that's under 10 seconds. So it produces a huge amount of power, but only for a very short time. So think about a 1 rep max squat. The lift itself only lasts a few seconds, but you're using almost the entire ATP system. And that's why strength athletes rest for so long, because they're waiting for that energy system and energy stores to refuel. So if you have a strength goal, you actually want longer rests, 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes even longer depending on your training session, because strength isn't about being tired, it's about producing maximum force. And too many people rush their sets because they think sweating means they're working harder, but not true. If your goal is strength, you actually want to work within your body's realm of how our body works to get maximum power and maximum force. So your workout should actually feel fresh before each heavy set. A second energy system is that anaerobic, that glycolytic system. So now we're moving into the painful zone. You know, when that burn builds up in your muscles, this system fuels efforts that last around 20 seconds to 2 minutes. So 400-meter runs, assault bikes, Hyrox station efforts. The system burns glucose quickly. So going back to the way our body calculates our energy into calories, then calories are broken down into glucose. This energy system uses that quite quickly. The downside is it does create that lactic acid, that burning sensation and fatigue. This is the system everyone loves to hate. It's uncomfortable, but it's incredibly effective. So if you are training for a Hyrox, we definitely need to work on this energy system to get your body more efficient at when it creates that lactic acid, that hydrogen ions as a byproduct of burning that glucose really fast. You want to get your body used to utilizing it and clearing that as quick as possible, which means that you're getting more effective at that energy system. And it's uncomfortable, but incredibly effective. So this is where Hyrox gets interesting, because Hyrox is purely aerobic, but it's also anaerobic, right? Those stations are anaerobic. Those runs are aerobic. It's both. Every station pushes you into a state of utilizing carbohydrates. Then you're expected to try and recover and clear that lactic acid whilst running, then do it all again, which means your body needs to recover quickly. So you need to get better at clearing fatigue. This is also why Hyrox should include threshold work, running compromised, long intervals, station to run transitions, learning how to recover while still moving. Then we have our third energy system, the aerobic system. This is your endurance engine. It uses oxygen. So it produces energy slower, but it can keep going for hours. So easy runs, long bike rides, swimming, zone 2 running, long Hyrox sessions, marathons, half marathons. This system is incredibly efficient. It even helps you recover between hard efforts. So why runners need to train this energy system is one mistake runners make is running hard every single session. Every run becomes kind of fast, kind of hard, kind of uncomfortable, but never easy enough to build that aerobic energy. Your aerobic system improves recovery, builds more capillaries. So when we're training different energy systems over and over again, our body gets more efficient at doing what it needs to do to generate maximum force or maximum effort in those energy systems. So when you have a good aerobic fitness base, your body becomes more efficient at utilizing fat, lowers your heart rate at the same pace. So whenever you're adapting to the exercise, what once felt hard will slowly feel easier. Elite runners spend most of their time at an easy conversational pace because easy training builds that engine and allows hard training to work. But that doesn't mean strength athletes, if we go back to the first energy system, don't need cardio. Here's something people don't expect. Getting stronger doesn't mean avoiding cardio. In fact, a better aerobic system helps you recover between sets. And recovery between training improves your work capacity. You can handle more volume. It reduces fatigue. The key is not turning every cardio session into a high intensity workout. The strength athletes generally benefit from zone 2, bike rides, easy rowing, 30 to 45 minutes of lower intensity, just enough to improve recovery without interfering with strength. Then you have Hyrox athletes, and Hyrox is beginning to be one of my favorite, most challenging sports because you need everything. Hyrox is one of the few sports that generally uses all three systems. So you need explosive strength, muscular endurance, aerobic endurance, speed, recovery, power, mental toughness. And now that's not spoken about in energy systems, but that is built over time of repeating things that are hard. So what was once hard, once you achieve it, you do it again, you build mental toughness, mental resilience. One workout might include a heavy sled, wall balls, running, lunges. No single energy system can do all of that, which is why Hyrox training you should include heavy lifting, easy running, intervals, a race pace, some threshold training, and recovery sessions, and of course, skill work. So if you're only doing one style of training, you'll eventually hit a ceiling, right? Now, a question that I often get asked is when we talk about different ways of training, which one burns more fat? So which energy system burns the most fat? The answer is all of them. Fat loss doesn't come from a specific workout. It comes from being in a calorie deficit over time. So less energy than energy out. But HIIT burns more calories quickly. Aerobic work uses a high percentage of fat during the session. Strength training helps maintain muscle while dieting. The best fat loss program isn't choosing one energy system. It's combining training with nutrition consistently. So you're probably thinking, how should you train? If your goal is strength, lift heavy 3 to 5 days per week, rest properly between sets, add 2 to 3 easy aerobic sessions, limit excessive HIIT that affects lifting performance. But if your goal is running, around 80% of your run should be easy, 20% should be fast, and strength train 2 to 3 times a week to improve your durability and running. If your goal is Hyrox, we need to lift heavy, build a strong aerobic base, so a big engine, include thresholds so you get better at clearing lactic acid, practice race-specific stations, and learn to transition from stations into running. But if your goal is general health, aim is to include all three energy systems each week. So strength training also to build muscle and help with bone density, aerobic work for our heart health and recovery, short bursts of higher intensity, so that anaerobic to maintain power and fitness. Now, the best athletes aren't great because they train the hardest. They're great because they train the right systems at the right time. So every session that they do has a purpose. So before you copy someone else's program, ask yourself, what am I actually training for? If your goal is strength, train like a strength athlete. If your goal is marathon, train like a runner. If your goal is Hyrox, build every energy system because race day will demand all of them. Train with purpose, not just intensity. Because the smartest training will always beat the hardest training when it's done consistently. So understanding how your body utilizes different energy systems and how programs, depending on what your number one goal is depending on how that program should look. Now, myself personally, I like to do strength and like to do Hyrox. And over the years, I've tried to do it all. Now, if you listen to any of my podcasts, if you have every single one of my dials turned up, I burn out quite quickly, right? Because a fuse goes. Whereas over the years, and even now, learning that each session has a purpose, and it's okay to, when I'm focusing on just strength, turn down the others. When I'm focusing on Hyrox, turn them up. It's not easy because in a world where we constantly compare ourselves or we want to be the best at everything, it's hard to really, going back to those emotions and thoughts and feelings, which, aren't facts, but they're the things that we feel. Is it going back to them? It's hard to sometimes bring yourself back to what am I actually training for? What is it that I want to get better at for now? Because that is going to help you focus on your blocks of training. And it's also going to help you focus on being okay. But the problem with living in the middle is a lot of people accidentally spend nearly all their training in what I call an uncomfortable middle. They don't train easily enough to properly build their aerobic base. They don't rest enough to produce maximal strength. And I was here not that long ago, and I've been in the industry for years. It's so easy to get caught up in this. Instead, everything becomes moderately hard. Their strength sets are rushed. Their easy runs are too fast. Their interval sessions are not fast enough because they're carrying too much fatigue. Their recovery sessions are not really recovery sessions. They constantly feel tired, but their performance doesn't improve. And this is why training needs different gears. Some sessions should be easy. Some should be hard. Some should involve long rest periods. Some should develop technical skill. Some should create fatigue and others should help you recover from it. If every workout feels the same, your program may be missing important qualities. And this is really important to understand. So why easy training needs to be easy. This is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of my clients even make, and it's hard, is that not every session can be turned up to 100%. Is not every session is needed to be completed hard. So some runs need to be labeled easy, but they are constantly checking their pace or they feel pressure to improve their fitness. Now, the problem here is that, if you're making every run hard, we're not building that aerobic capacity because you're comparing your aerobic capacity to somebody else's that might have had more years or, more time on the pavement, and their aerobic capacity is different. So it's really important not to compare. And it's really, really important to get clear on your goals. So I like the idea of 80-20. You may have heard around 80% and 20% should be hard. So this goes for whatever your goal is, whether it's Hyrox, running, whether it's strength, all those sorts of things. Now, I could talk about this for hours, but I feel that with the information that I provided, go through and really listen to this again, because once you get clear on what your number one goal is, then you don't have to exclude things. We just need to put things in different priorities, and that is okay. But that means that you're going to become a better athlete for whatever it is that you want to peak for. And the training should change throughout the year. As I said before, my training changes throughout the year. I'm 10 weeks to a powerlifting comp, and then I'll go into Hyrox and vice versa. So my training changes, and that's okay. So going back to wrap up today's episode, the best athletes are not simply great simply because they train harder than everyone else. They train with purpose. They understand what each session is designed to do. They know when to push. They know when to slow down. They know when to rest. Now, you're not expected to get this right every time. I still don't get it right sometimes. But you really need to ask yourself, what am I training for? Train with purpose, recover with purpose, fuel with purpose. And that's a wrap of today's episode. I hope this episode has helped you understand why different goals require different styles of training, and why your body needs more than one energy system to perform at its best. So if you know someone who trains hard but feels stuck, share this episode with them. It may help them stop chasing exhaustion and start training with more direction. And remember, do not just train harder, train smarter, train for your goal, and give your body enough time and consistency to adapt. And until next time, keep it real.